Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Battle of the Sexes 2, where MythBusters pit men against women to determine myth from fact. You'll probably disagree with our results, so let's get ready to grumble.
Yep, on this controversial episode of MythBusters,
I think we might be kicking some male butt.
there's a contentious collection of classic cliches.
You throw like a girl.
First up, are guys really the fling kings?
Slow down there, cowboy.
Then, when lost, will a man ever ask for help?
This is fantastic.
Next, are women really the multitasking masters?
Hello?
And finally, in a parallel park-off, it's Parkageddon.
Oh, do you have a license?
Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage
Now I'm ready.
and Jamie Heineman.
This is gonna kill you.
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience. Together with Tori Belleci,
That was insane.
Grant Imahara,
Who wants some?
and Carrie Byron.
Right tool for the job.
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test. Duck, cover, and get ready to sleep on the sofa, because war will be waged. The last time the team battled for supremacy of the sexes, they debunked 5 fractious fables: driving, grilling, packing the car, navigating, and emotional cues.
Is flirty an emotion?
Is blushing an emotion?
And with 2 wins apiece and 1 myth tied, the MythBusters are once again declaring a war on error.
I can tell from the way they're driving that it's probably a woman.
First up, a pitched battle of the sexes.
Well, you probably heard it. I definitely heard it when I was a kid. It is the classic schoolyard taunt. You throw like a girl.
I never heard it.
Well, that's because you never took gym.
I took art class.
Smart. At any rate, it's an insult and a terrible thing to say to someone, but it does raise a genuine question and one we think is worth answering here on MythBusters.
And this is the question. Is there a measurable difference between the way a man throws a ball and a woman throws a ball?
Exactly. I got it!
It's an age-old playground put-down. When it comes to playing with balls, specifically tossing them around, girls are purportedly the paragons of poor pitching. To find out, Adam and Jamie are instigating an intra-species throwdown.
Now, we're about to do something on this episode that's a little bit different than the path we would normally take.
Normally, we just get 10 men, 10 women, take them out on a baseball diamond and start them throwing, see what happens.
But we've done a ton of research into this story, and if it's true that men and women throw differently, there are a million different theories and questions around the why. Is it cultural? Is it innate? Is it genetic? Does it show up at a certain age?
Let the throwing begin.
Sorry.
It's a multifaceted question. What is a good throw? How do you measure it? And who does it better? To zone in on the science, Adam and Jamie have hit the gym and set up a state-of-the-smart lob lab.
So how do you qualitatively measure someone's throwing ability? In the jungle, when you want to kill something in order to eat it, you've got to be both fast and accurate. So speed and accuracy are our 2 metrics. But when we've researched other tests similar to this, it's been said that when you stress accuracy, people slow down their pitch in order to hit the target. We don't want that. We want them throwing as hard as they can. So what we're telling them is, throw as hard as you can at the yellow box.
With accuracy best described as a lottery in motion
I don't feel like you and I are very good at throwing.
No, we're not.
and a less than impressive slow ball, Adam and Jamie clearly need help understanding the art of throwing. Cue Major League pitcher Greg Reynolds.
And if we're going to spend the rest of this episode assessing people's ability to throw, we need a top-level control to compare them against. That's where the guy behind me comes in, and he's going to show us how it's really done. Yeah, like that.
With his 90-mile-an-hour fastball, Greg nails the center of the target every time. And when it's slowed down and analyzed, it's clear that the perfect pitch is a complicated biophysical ballet.
It's all about timing when you're talking about pitching, and so from your feet all the way to the end of your fingertips, you want to start that chain reaction and keep them all on time.
Wow, it's kind of like a dance.
Yeah.
So this is the perfect pitching technique, and it requires years of practice and an elite physical ability to combine 90 miles per hour speed and pinpoint accuracy. But do men naturally do it better? To find out, it's time to get it on.
And so now we pit the men against the women, but not in the way we normally would, where we just gather a bunch of random 20-something volunteers out of the local paper. This time, we are pitting groups of people from different ages against each other. This way, we can compare and see if there's a difference, not only between men and women, but whether that exists across every age or whether it happens at certain stages developmentally.
So Adam and Jamie have selected 4 pairs of average Joes and Josephines.
Hi, Zoe.
To go head-to-head in a pitch battle.
We'll be gauging the throwing ability of our test subjects according to 2 primary metrics. Mine will be speed. I'll be behind the net here with my Savage radar gun, logging how fast they throw.
And I'll be back here judging the accuracy of the throw on a scale of 1 to 5.
Now, we won't be judging anyone on a single throw.
All we want you to do is take that ball and throw it right at the yellow square as hard as you can.
Okay.
No, we're actually going to let them warm up, and then we're going to be averaging their accuracy and choosing their best speed from the multiple throws that they'll do.
With our first pint-sized pitcher warmed up and raring to go,
Okay, hold on there. Slow down there, cowboy.
Jamie begins officially scoring and averaging Zoe's accuracy across 5 throws. A bullseye scores 5, the inner square 4, all the way down to 0 for a complete miss, which Zoe is not doing.
Excellent.
Meanwhile, Adam monitors for Zoe's single fastest throw.
She's good.
With the girls' first impressive score on the board, Thomas steps up, winds up, and gives it his best shot for Team Men.
Excellent. That's the spirit.
But when he's done and the numbers are in, Adam, for one, is surprised.
I love this kind of counterintuitive result. We're testing throws like a girl, and it's supposed to be some kind of insult that girls can't throw as good as boys. But our very first test subjects, while the boy threw a little bit faster than our girl, she smoked him in terms of accuracy. He was all over the map. She was going right for the center. It was great.
Up next are the 12-year-olds, and Kara continues the impressive start by the Lady Lobbers. Her top speed of 31 miles per hour
She throws a heater.
and an accuracy average of 3.75 lays down a mean marker.
Nice.
But when Aaron steps up and flings a few fearsome fastballs, it's apparent that a trend is emerging. One that continues with the remaining 2 pairs of age-matched pitchers. The guys are throwing faster, but the girls are hitting the target more accurately. But only the final tally will tell the full tale.
The results are in, and they're really pretty interesting. The females, as it happens, are more accurate than the males by 17%.
But in the speed department, the boys were able to throw 15% faster than the girls. I know, it's like these 2 numbers cancel each other out.
But watching them, it strikes me that there may be more than speed and accuracy to how people throw.
To that end, back when Jamie and I worked in special effects, we frequently utilized a technology that we think might give us the best view yet on whether or not there's a difference between the way men throw and the way women throw. You ready to get out of here?
Let's do it.
All right.
Next up, the conflict continues with an age-old argument.
All right, first up for us is a classic. Women are better multitaskers than men.
I mean, like juggling many different activities at once.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've heard this myth before, but I have a feeling we would do better than you might think. I say we take this challenge.
You're on.
When it comes to performing several tasks at once, the fairer sex supposedly has more flair. But is it scientific fact or urban folklore?
All right, this should be cool. Let's build the ultimate multitasking test. We'll get 20 volunteers, 10 men, 10 women, and we'll have them both juggle all sorts of activities at once.
That would be fun. Maybe we could do something like getting ready for work, making the bed, getting dressed, making lunch, watching the kid, and getting out the door in time to get to work.
It's a good idea.
Welcome to the Multitask Assault Course, a set of simultaneous tasks that will test the volunteers' chore juggling skills to the limit.
So we've set up a scenario of getting ready and getting out the door as soon as possible. So you have to get out of bed, make the bed. Then you're gonna grab your clothes, you're gonna iron them. And then you're gonna get dressed. You're gonna wear your shirt, your pants, and your shoes.
Then it's time to make breakfast and get lunch to go. You've got to toast your toast, put butter on it, make yourself a cup of tea, all the while making yourself a sandwich that includes lettuce, tomato, ham, cheese, mustard, and mayonnaise. Put it in a bag, get it ready to go.
And while you're doing that, you've got to answer the phone, answer any questions we have for you, and make sure Baby Buster doesn't make it out the door all before the timer runs out.
With the room ready to roll, the subjects are introduced to the format and thoroughly briefed.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the MythBusters Morning Challenge.
But crucially, they're kept in the dark about the aim of the test. They're given instructions on the chores they have to perform and nothing more. However, Carrie's in the know.
All right, for this experiment, we have 20 test subjects. We have 10 men and 10 women. Now, they have to complete all of their tasks in a set amount of time, but they can't do all of these tests one at a time. Some of them have to be done simultaneously, like you have to wait for the toast to toast. You have to wait for the iron to heat up. This should not be a very easy task to do, especially if you're Tori.
To score the tricky Tory-proof test, each testee starts with 100 and is penalized 10 points for every multitasking infraction. And first up and out of bed is Linda.
Go.
There's only 5 minutes on the clock, so managing the myriad of tasks simultaneously is the only route to success. And by immediately turning on all the appliances, she's off to a great start.
Looks like the baby's awake.
Come here, Baby Buster. You're coming with me.
But it's about to get a lot tougher. While ensuring Baby Buster never leaves the marked safety zone unattended, a sandwich lunch has to be made, toast and tea attended to, and then there's the first of 3 calls from Carrie.
Hello?
10 times 4 divided by 2.
10 times 4, 20.
Well done.
They're not difficult questions, but they're hard to do when you're doing like 3 things at once.
Yep, it's an all-out mental workout.
The thing that's great about this test is it stimulates so many different parts of the brain using all these different challenges. You've got motor skills, you've got verbal skills, communication, doing math problems, all different parts of the brain.
And as the myth would suggest, our First Lady, Linda, is coping spectacularly well. Ironing while tending the baby and tackling the trivia is just one of her many multitasking successes.
Hello?
You have red paint. You mix yellow and blue paint. What color is the paint you originally had?
Red.
Perfect.
And with time in hand, Linda calmly completes the course,
Okay, come on, Baby Buster. Time to go to school.
giving the girls a great start.
Linda, well done.
Thank you.
You have a perfect score of 100 points with 3 seconds to spare.
But that single data point only tells Linda's story. To compare women against men,
Start.
an average across a larger sample is needed.
All right, that's a quick start. Made the bed
bed.
right
Look
away.
at
And as the 9 remaining female volunteers cope with the confusion of the concurrent chores,
Look at that, putting a shirt on as she saves Buster from smacking his head into the cabinet.
one thing is clear to Tori.
I'm starting to think there might be something to this myth. She caught him. Unbelievable. She makes the save. It was so interesting to see how these women tackled the test. Yeah, there were variations in their abilities and how many mistakes they made.
What is 9 times 3 plus 3?
I don't know.
But overwhelmingly, the women were able to focus while multitasking. I'm impressed.
Yep, with all the women successfully dressed, the team is duly impressed. Which just leaves all 10 of the scores to be tallied and totaled into an imposing average of 72.
I think a score of 72 is going to be pretty tough to beat. I mean, I saw a bunch of competent women doing what they do every day, handle a ton of stuff all at once and do it with style. think we might be kicking some stubborn, dogmatic, linear-thinking male butt coming up here. But I'm not biased or anything.
If men are from Mars and women from Venus, this episode of MythBusters is the War of the Worlds, where Adam and Jamie are testing the contentious taunt, "You throw like a girl." And so far, the myth is looking like a misogynist misnomer.
Excellent.
Because the girls may have less power, but they're more accurate. But the MythBusters aren't done with this complicated controversy just yet. Their Lob Laboratory just got a double-barreled blast of motion picture science.
We're here at Industrial Light and Magic, the preeminent visual effects company in the world. Over the last 37 years, they've had their hand in around 300 films. Now, Adam and I used to work here, and we've pulled a favor. We've asked for access to some very special visual effects technology.
Special indeed. It's state-of-the-art motion picture technology, and the guys will use it to illustrate the motion of pitching.
This is the Industrial Light and Magic motion capture stage. What is motion capture, you ask? Well, it is a technology that allows the digital artists here at ILM to take a human's performance and render it digitally. All I need to do is wear a crazy suit. Wow. Oh, I'm Iron Man. And the dots all over this suit are being picked up by cameras around this room and turning me into a 3D rendered stick frame right there. Look at that. Ooh, technology. I have made a full stick frame. I love this place.
A place uniquely geared for the next experiment, a visual and anatomical analysis of motion.
You look like a ninja. Let's go.
Each of the throwers will be rendered into 3D digital skeletons for an accurate comparison.
What they're doing is putting these little reflective markers all over Zoe, and it gives us a very clear geometrical understanding of the movement of her joints, which is what we need to have to be able to analyze how she's throwing.
Perfect. High five. Thanks so much for your help.
You're welcome.
Once Adam, Jamie, and the ILM team capture the action from the two youngest pitchers, it's the turn of the 24-year-olds. And when they're all transformed into 3D digital skeletons,
It's the coolest technology ever.
the comparisons can begin, starting with the 7-year-olds.
We've analyzed the data we got from the motion capture of the 7-year-olds, and there's already, even at that age, a pretty clear difference in how they throw. The boy is going more horizontal with his body, while the girl is staying mostly upright. This difference is much more clearly exemplified in the 24-year-olds.
Yep, and a comparison of the adults in action shows the difference is down to rotation. The girls bend forward at the hips, whereas the guys twist aggressively through the hips and shoulders. Mechanically speaking, it's a method that delivers much more momentum. But where does the difference come from?
Now, there are a couple of theories as to why men would move differently than the female. One is that they're just bigger and more powerful. The other one is that females evolved to carry children, and so they're not going to move quite as aggressively. But in any case, these are two people that are not trained as ball players, and there's a very distinct difference on how they're moving.
That's the crucial point. Our volunteers have had no explicit training. And yet, when seen in digital detail, the guy's technique more closely resembles that of our professional pitcher. Question is, do boys simply pick it up by being exposed to more ball sports? Adam and Jamie have one more test to find out.
We gotta go. They're shutting this building down.
Really?
Told you.
Wow.
Women, supposedly the master multitaskers, have fired a formidable first shot.
So we've tested 10 women, and they've done really well. Their average is 72 points.
Welcome.
Now it's time for the men to do the same challenge and see how well they do. Fight!
And first to fight like a man is Malcolm. But from the get up and go, it's clear his approach is distinctly linear.
He's wasting a lot of time going from the counter to the floor.
Yep, he's not so much multitasking as tackling each task sequentially.
Hello.
There are 7 colors in the rainbow. What is 2 plus 2?
4.
In a test designed to reward multitasking, stopping and taking the phone call costs precious seconds, as does a stop and start babysitting technique.
Down you go.
All of which means he didn't have time to finish making his sandwich,
Oops. Don't know how to do that.
his breakfast, or get dressed properly.
Oh, no.
A combination of multiple infractions that leaves him with a score of just 50 points. An ominous sign for the men. They have to up their game to get in the game.
That's the farthest he's gotten.
But as the clock and cameras roll for the 9 remaining contestants, it's clear the guys are out of their depth.
I'm sorry?
A few perform as well as the girls, juggling obstacles like the phone and Buster.
Hello?
If a squared plus b squared equals c squared, how do you spell green?
G-R-E-E-N.
That was multitasking I've seen.
Yes!
Well,
That was
competition,
fantastic.
shoes, phone, saves the baby.
But most are one thing at a time kind of guys.
Hello?
So a squared plus b squared equals c squared.
Jobs that can be tackled simultaneously become a series of time-consuming interruptions.
What is 2 plus 2 times 3?
And with points deducted for incomplete tasks, and for each time Buster escapes his safe zone,
That's an infraction. Do you have kids?
No, I don't.
Thank God.
the poor scores are racking up. And with Buster packed off for school one last time, Tori is ready and waiting with the crunch numbers. Drum roll, please.
So the results are in. The women came away with an average of 72 points, while the men came away with an average of 64 points. So it looks like this myth is confirmed.
Ooh, so women can multitask better than men. Confirmed.
Totally confirmed.
All right, confirmed.
The numbers don't lie. The average accurately reflects the girls' multitasking mastery, meaning this myth, just like Baby Buster, has been put to bed. Before Adam and Jamie wrap up their high-tech tossing tale,
It's the coolest technology ever.
they're going to tackle a marital skirmish that never fails to escalate. When the man of the car is lost and not found, suburban folklore would have us believe that there's one thing his pride will prevent him from doing.
Jamie's lost, and he's asking for directions. That is the opposite of what most people think a man would do in this situation. In fact, there's a prevalent myth that men bullheadedly refuse to ask for directions when they get lost. It's a myth that we are going to put to the test right in this episode. Think you know where we are?
Yep, I'm good.
Excellent. Here we go.
And after a quick change into something a little more comfortable, the plan to test this contentious cliche is simple and sneaky. A bunch of volunteers stripped of GPS technology or maps will be misdirected and lost. And Adam and Jamie will monitor them to see who stops for help.
The volunteers won't know this, but the test actually starts right here. All you have to do is follow these directions to get there. Now, the first set of instructions they'll be getting is correct.
But by the time they get to this intersection, we've given them a left turn that totally doesn't exist. This is ground zero where they're going to get lost, and we have seeded the entire area with volunteers. If they ask for directions, these guys are going to give them to them.
So the driving draftees will be asked to find their way from here to here using a series of written instructions. But one deliberately false directive, a non-existent Almond Street, will ensure that by the time they hit this intersection, they'll be lost. And that's where the fun begins.
Immediately after they start driving, I'll be hiding in this blind corner right around the corner so I can follow them at a reasonable distance and see exactly when they ask for directions, if they ask for directions.
To find out, our First Lady is given her instructions.
And away we go.
As she pulls away, Adam, a discreet distance behind, drops into position on her tail.
The setup might seem elaborate, but it's important that the drivers don't know they're being tested. We don't want to affect their behavior in any way.
Chasing our volunteer.
Once they reach the non-existent almond street, we want to see how long it would naturally take for them to pull over and ask for help.
And here we go.
Left on almond.
Despite dutifully following the instructions, our willing volunteer is now officially lost.
Subject has just passed the intersection. Subject has passed the intersection. We're like secret agents.
Emerald. Where is almond? Let's garnet. Okay.
And after a quick U-turn reveals she really is lost in deepest, darkest suburbia,
Let's see if it's the other direction.
test subject number 1 does the sensible thing. She pulls over and asks for help.
Excuse me. I am sorry. Can you help me, please? I'm looking for almond.
That's one zip to the girls. Now, how about the guys? According to the myth, they don't give up so easily.
Cat and mouse with test subjects, my favorite sport.
Once again, the driver is thrown for a loop. And the team on his tail waits to see what he does. And what he does is get stressed.
Oh my God, I definitely need to turn around.
Performs several U-turns.
He's going back to his original route.
Okay, we started over on Edge Hill.
Gets stressed some more.
Oh God, this is ridiculous.
And stubbornly, adamantly refuses to ask for help.
He is intrepid, that's for sure. And he is fulfilling every stereotype about a man driving.
Gotta be. Oh, I get lost again.
It's now been like 13, 14 minutes.
Okay, turning around. I just ran away with the MythBusters car. Awesome.
That was the perfect embodiment of what this stereotype is all about. Against all reason, the first guy kept driving around trying to find a road that didn't exist and didn't want to stop and ask for help. After 20 minutes of that, we put him out of his misery and called the test.
How you doing, Andrew?
Good.
So, how come you didn't ask for directions?
Well, they said follow the directions to find you to get the test, so I was like, oh, I gotta be able to at least get the test sites.
Look, I have to admit, I came to this story with a little bit of bias. I actually think it's probably true.
Oh my God, I'm so lost.
So I am not surprised by these initial results. But these are not the final results. This is just one guy and one girl. We're gonna build our conclusion on testing a lot more people. I could be wrong.
Next up, the team has its eye on another fight.
All right, close your eyes.
Okay.
What color shirt am I wearing?
Green. Yellow.
Exactly. That's our next myth. The myth is that women have better observation skills than men, that they notice all the details and men don't.
I'm not buying it.
Yeah, really? Prove it.
We're testing the myth that women are more observant than men. So why the basketball? Plays into our video. Now, why don't you play along at home? You have to count how many times the people in white pass the ball. We're gonna show this video to our men and women volunteers and see who has better powers of observation.
It's a seemingly simple task. Just like our 20 male and female volunteers, you have to focus on the team in white. Focus on the ball. Count how many times they pass the ball. And remember, it's an experiment designed to test your powers of observation.
So how many times did you count? If you counted 12, you were right. However, that's not what this test was about. See, if you were really observant, in the middle of this 30-second film, you would have seen the distraction.
Did you see it? Now, do you see that zombie walking straight through the center of the game? You'd be surprised how many people miss the fact that there's a zombie in the game because they're so focused on seeing how many times the ball gets passed. And you want to know who the zombie is? Ask Tori.
It was none other than our own Carrie Byron. Now, I had the job of transforming her into a zombie. Now, ever since I was a little kid, I've always had the dream of being a special effects makeup artist, so this is a dream come true. Now, this wasn't an easy task. I mean, there was a lot of pain involved. When I did Carrie's head cast, I didn't use enough release, and I actually ripped out a lot of her eyebrows and eyelashes. Some of it is still in the mold.
I think I might have to ice my face.
Now, from that mold, I was able to pour a plaster head cast. She looks funny. From that, I sculpted the zombie on top, and then I made a mold of that and turned that into a foam rubber mask. I hate brains! So I took the rubber mask, painted it, applied it to Carrie's face, gave her some contact lenses, some ratty hair, a ratty costume.
Do I look pretty?
And this is the finished product, Zombie Carrie. Let's see how our volunteers do.
Hey, Tori, what does a vegan zombie eat? Brains.
So, with the video, undead Carrie and all, ready to roll, up steps the first of the 20 watchers to take the Walking Dead challenge.
This is going to be a test of observation. We need you to count the number of times a person wearing a white shirt passes the basketball.
Okay.
He looks focused. He follows the action, attempting to count the passes. But will he spot the zombie? The myth says no.
All right, that's the end of the clip. How many times did they pass the basketball?
12? 12 times.
Good, good. And anything else interesting about the video?
No.
Not a great start for the guys, but a great start for the myth.
Welcome. Please come in and have a seat right here.
Let's see how the First Lady fares. Will Jane's fabled feminine powers of observation enable her to confirm the fable?
How many times did they pass the basketball?
12.
Anything else interesting about the video?
I did see a zombie come in.
Well, that's pretty interesting.
Very
That'll be
good.
usual.
That's one zip. But when the walker wanders by unnoticed,
Now, did you notice anything unusual about the video?
Not really.
by the next 7 oblivious basketball fans,
Anything unusual about the video?
Not that I noticed.
it looks like it's going to be a close race.
I can't believe how many people don't see the zombie. That's so freaking awesome.
Yep, when you know what to expect, it might seem simple, but on first viewing, it's proving otherwise.
Do you notice anything out of the ordinary?
No.
But then, up steps film fan number 17.
What did you think of the film?
It was awesome.
Anything interesting to report about it?
The zombie walking through the middle.
It's all to play for. Maybe dudes aren't such duds after all when it comes to noticing what's going on. And with just one guy
No.
and one girl left, it looks like we're heading for a tie.
What did you think of the clip?
It was pretty funny.
Anything interesting to report about it?
The zombie that came through.
Okay, great.
So with all 20 volunteers I tested, a score of 2-1 suggests the men have been marginally bested.
All right, so it turns out women are better at observing than men. So I guess we can call this one plausible.
Yeah, plausible.
Plausible.
Nice work, zombie.
Thanks.
Plausible, leaving one last task, an encore performance.
This was such a fun experiment.
Play the video.
But my favorite part was watching the people's reactions who had seen the video for the first time and didn't notice the zombie, seeing it again, and then when they saw the zombie, their minds were blown.
Okay, did you see the zombie?
So this one is plausible.
Up next, a declaration of war that will surely end in fender benders for both genders.
What's with the gloves?
I hear we're doing a Battle of the Sexes story.
We are. However, bad news is it involves you parking cars.
Why is that a problem?
Because we all know how you drive. So the myth is that women are better at parking cars than men. Is that ridiculous or what?
At least we're better at the sucker punch, huh?
It's a controversial claim based on an extensive scientific survey. It states that women may take slightly longer to park, but their calm, methodical approach is more accurate, and they're more adept at maneuvering into the space. The team can't wait to tackle it, and here's how.
For the parallel parking challenge, we're bringing in 20 volunteers, 10 men and 10 women. And this is how we're going to score them on their parallel park. Centering between the front and the back vehicle. The curb distance, they must be at a legal curb distance. We're going to deduct if they smash into the car before or after them. They will fail if they actually take off a bumper or scrape the car, and how many times they need to correct to get into the space. Tori and I are both going to be judges so that there is no bias.
With the rules revealed, first to kick off the park-off is Frank.
I am an incredible parallel parker. I can do it fast, I can do it on a dime. I live in the big city. I know what I'm doing when it comes to parallel parking.
He's confident, that's for sure.
You better be a good parker after all that talk.
Despite the fact there's no time limit, Frank heads for the space like it's a race.
Wow, he is in a hurry. He must have to use the restroom.
He's definitely somebody from a city.
He's got a good angle, but his speed and overconfidence costs him.
Oh!
That's a 10-point deduction.
Okay, we got a bump.
Okay.
And an alarm.
And that's another 10. And with an additional forward and back correction, that's 10 more.
I bet you he thinks that's an amazing park job.
Perfect.
Well, not really. In addition to his 30-point deductions, his centering isn't particularly centered.
All right, front is 9 inches.
Perfectly square would be 20 inches. So a further 11-point deduction leaves Frank with a total of 59.
So far, not a good start for the men, I'm telling you.
Up steps the starting driver for Team Women, Gwen.
Are you good at parking?
I am.
Okay, Gwen, here we go.
And she's much more cautious than Frank.
I think she's doing pretty good.
Maneuvering with careful precision, Gwen makes the most of the angle and space.
She almost touched, but didn't touch.
Look, she's just readjusted.
The impressive Gwen completes the park with a single 10-point correction penalty. And the tail of the tape
20 inches.
tells us Gwen is perfectly centered, scoring an impressive 90 points. It's a tough act for Scott to follow.
He's driving very confidently.
And he carries on where Frank left off.
Oh, we got a bump.
He's also racing to get into the space and doesn't mind using the cars on either side to nudge his way in.
Oh, geez, that's not good.
And with a poor positioning score,
8 inches. You impressed?
he posts a total that's very similar to Frank's, meaning in this battle of the sexes, the guys already have their backs to the wall.
From the men and women so far, I see a trend. Now, the men seem to be getting in the space with less maneuvers, but they're also crashing into the cars as they do it. So really, who's better at parking so far? If I'm one of the cars parked on either side, I'll go with the women.
Welcome back, passengers. We are testing the myth that men are more reluctant to ask for directions than women. And so far, based on our sample size of 1 man and 1 woman, it's looking pretty good for the myth. I'm so lost. But sample size is everything in science. The more you have, the better your results. So we're not going to leave it there. We're going to test a bunch more men and a bunch more women.
Yep, with 12 more volunteers to be led astray and lost, the result is far from decided. So Jamie, the puppet master, reprises his string-pulling role.
So here are the instructions.
And Adam continues his comically inept secret surveillance.
Oh, no. Did he see you?
But crucially, after our driving draftees hit the Bermuda Triangle, everyone, gals and guys alike, stopped to ask for directions.
Excuse me, do you know where Almond is?
Excuse me.
Do you know where Almond is?
Excuse me.
Is there an Almond Street around here?
And there she goes. If our last female volunteer, Tammy, stops and seeks help, the girls will have a clean record, the guys won't.
I don't know where I'm going.
But as the clock ticks on and Tammy circles back again, and again, It's clear that her frustration
Oh my God, no.
is not going to turn into a plea for help, but a plea for candy.
Fudge.
And at the 20-minute mark, the team terminates Tammy's trauma, and the score is all tied. But Jamie has a solution.
With one failure apiece, we need a tiebreaker, and time might just do it. If the men have an aversion to asking for help, that reluctance might just translate to them taking more time before they stop. Over to Adam for the breakdown.
Men drove for an average of 4 minutes and 11 seconds before asking for directions. Women drove for an average of 5 minutes and 11 seconds before asking for directions. That's right, the men asked for directions 20% sooner than the women. All that leads us to call this myth... Thank you, my silent friend.
Carrie and Tori have been asking the question, which sex parks in the perfect spot? And so far, it's looking good for the gals. With a commanding lead on the scoreboard. But with Justine behind the wheel,
Nope, this is all gone wrong. That's a bump.
it all goes curb up.
Ooh, that's really close.
She better leave a note.
Things get so bad, Tori even tries his hand at some encouragement.
You're doing great. You almost have it.
Really?
That was really nice of you.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh. Wow. That's all. I'm speechless. Wow. Yep, drive up on that curve. Do it.
Whoops.
You almost got it. And by almost, I mean miles away.
P.S. We've run out of points to take away.
Yep, Justine's long list of transgressions means she scored 0.
I don't know how to do this.
And she not so much finishes as gives up.
I don't know if you can call it parallel, but it's definitely parked.
Yeah, I'm in the space, right?
Yeah, you're in the space.
That was a license revoking parking job. Justine parked on the curb and may have ruined 2 cars in the process. I stopped marking down her score when we got to 0.
The women's average took a hit, and 6 tests later,
17 inches.
the status quo is in much the same state. The guys aren't doing a whole lot right,
Oh, and a bump.
but they're not doing much wrong either.
Nice work.
And the girls, well, they veer and steer wildly between brilliance
That was awesome.
and catastrophe.
We have another bump.
That didn't sound good.
We're about halfway through the test, and I gotta say, this is really interesting. We have some really great scores from the women and some really bad scores from the women. Oh, God, really?
Can this woman see?
Do you have a license?
I do. I'm terrible at parallel parking.
Whereas the men are kind of consistently staying at the middle. So when it averages out, we're at a tie.
After 10 park jobs, the average is incredibly close, but there's a clear gender-based difference in method.
Oh.
The men are generally faster. Don't mind the odd bump.
Ooh, that was a good bump.
And as a group, they seem to have more confidence.
Perfect.
While the women are more cautious and methodical.
Woohoo!
The difference between their highs and lows
Oh, this is a really bad angle.
being a lack of confidence.
I'm used to nudging my way in, but when the alarm went off, I was a little paranoid, someone come out screaming with a rake or something.
The rest of the afternoon speeds by in a blur of curb crawling, car alarms,
Sorry I hit your car.
and high-fiving,
Team men.
leading to a final revealing tally.
All right, so what are the results?
All right, so the women came out with an average of 42.5, and the men came out with an average of 43.6, a statistical tie.
Yep, with just 1.1% difference, statistically speaking, there's nothing in it. And that means
Women being better parkers than men, busted.
All right, let's go. Oh, should we let Grant out of the trunk?
Yeah, it's probably a good idea.
Hey, wake up. We'll let you out when we get back to San Francisco.
Adam and Jamie are back at the Lob Lab with some unfinished business.
All episode long, we've been testing throws like a girl. We've been looking for an experimentally provable difference between the way that men throw and the way that women throw. We've pitted 8 test subjects in 4 different age groups against each other, and we've analyzed their throws on a motion capture stage, but still we can't shake this cultural generality that playing catch, throwing a ball, is a boys' game and not a girls' game. How do you control for that inherent cultural training? With this, our final test, in which we are making all 8 of our test subjects throw again, but with their left hand this time. Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be so awkward.
It may be awkward, but with the same setup and scoring system as before, it will get to the heart of this myth.
We're gonna ask you to do the same thing, but with your left hand.
All right. And as our 8 volunteers are put through their paces, it should be noted that without practice, it's impossible to transfer a learned athletic skill to your non-preferred hand.
Oh, heads up!
Meaning this test effectively cancels out any subtle cultural training that may give the boys an advantage. It's like they're throwing a ball for the first time. And the numbers, when collected and collated, are conclusive.
This is interesting. The guys completely reversed the result from the preferred hand test. They're more accurate than the girls by about 12%, but the girls are faster. It's marginal, 4%, but they are faster.
But what about form? If you look at our motion capture data, it does seem quite clear that men throw with a better technique. They throw with a technique that looks much more like that of the pro pitcher. And when we removed all that training and had our blank slates throw with their non-dominant hand, males and females threw with almost identical techniques. This suggests strongly that it is cultural, that it is training, and when you remove that training, you level the playing field. To test this, Jamie has one final fling.
Meet Jordan Taylor.
Jordan is a girl. A pitcher for the U.S. softball team. And Jordan can throw. Her 65-mile-an-hour cannons hit the target with unfailing accuracy. And her form matches that of Greg, the male pro pitcher. His larger frame does mean greater speed, but in terms of precision and technique, Jordan has it nailed. So, given the training, there's no reason women can't overcome cultural bias and throw as well as the guys.
Nice.
How are we gonna call it?
Well, we set out in this episode to see if we could find a distinctive difference between the way men throw a ball and the way women throw a ball.
And what'd we find?
Well, we found that there is, in fact, a distinct difference. Both our data supported this and, more importantly, the motion capture data. We were able to clearly see that when throwing a ball, women tend to stay more vertical and throw like this, whereas men go more horizontal and rotate their bodies more aggressively.
But you know, we really should deal with throws like a girl as an insult.
Indeed we should. And here's the big news. Throws like a girl is not an insult. We did not find in any of our testing that women throw more poorly than men.
Maybe now we can put to bed throws like a girl as an insult.
I surely hope so. You hear that?